Hey guys, it's Kelly from Cabooties. I'm hanging out here with my daughter. If you hear her banging around, that's what that is. I've spent my last few days of self-isolation here in my sewing studio making baby shoes. And then this morning I woke up to a ton of texts like, hey, are you making those masks? Do you know how to make those masks? Can you tell me how to make those masks? So I just wanted to make a quick video and show you guys how to do it if you're interested. I would say before you start making a ton of face masks, make sure that people in your area want them. Obviously, these are not professional grade medical equipment. If medical providers and patients have a choice between these and actual sterile N95 masks, they're going to choose the other masks. But this is great in a pinch if you have a hospital or a nursing home or Ronald McDonald House or whatever that doesn't have the mask that they need. This is a great stand-in. So I'm going to show you how to do it. You might have these materials already in your house. Obviously, going to the craft store today is not an option. But I cut this 9x6 piece of paper. This is my very fancy sewing pattern. You're going to want some kind of template if you're going to make more than one. And you just take, they've asked for tightly woven cotton fabric. So I took this quilting cotton. I cut two 9x6 rectangles out of it. And then you need elastic. You have a few different options. I had two on hand. I have this rope elastic that literally is just like a stretchy rope. This is what I'm going to be using. It fits behind your ear really well. You can also use, I have this flat elastic. This is an option too. This is actually easier to work with. I just think it's a little more bulky when you put it behind your ear. But if this is what you have, this will work too. You can also use like beading cord elastic, and you'll use that the same way you use this rope elastic I'm going to show you. If you're using this flat elastic, cut it to 7 inches long. If you're using this rope elastic, you're going to cut it to 9 inches long, and then you're going to tie knots at each end. Okay? All right, here's the sewing part. You're going to take your two pieces of 9x6 cotton fabric, and you're going to put them right sides together. Okay? Just like that. Easy, easy. And then you're going to sew along one of the long edges. You have two long edges, two short edges. Just sew along one of your long edges here. Okay, so that's sewn together. Now, take your piece of elastic, hold it by one of the little knots, and you're actually going to put it in. So you're going to open up this. It's got a little flap. There's Adelaide. Hi, Adelaide. And you're just going to put it inside with just the knot hanging out. I think this is the trickiest part, and it's not very tricky. So if you can get through this, you can do this fine. So you're going to sew back and forth over this piece of elastic a couple times to hold it in place. So just sew forward, back, forward. So now that's held in there really securely. We just sewed forward, back. And now we're going to sew about halfway down. Okay? Now, you're going to find that little piece of elastic that's in here. Take your other knot, and you're going to put it to the outside corner. Okay? And then just sew down. And same thing, go forward and back over your elastic knot. And do that a few times to anchor it in. You don't want the elastic to pop out while it's being worn, right? Now turn your piece. So now you're sewing down the long edge and sew about 1/3 of the way down. And then stop. You can clip your fabric, pull it out. And then you're going to take your other elastic and we're going to put it in the same way as we put this one in. So you should have two knots sticking out and the rest of the elastic is inside here, not caught in your seam. Okay, so take this elastic, put it in your other open short side. So the knot's hanging out. Okay, we're going to sew back and forth over this piece of elastic a few times to hold it in. And then sew about halfway down. Okay, and then same thing as before. Find your piece of elastic in there. Put it in so that the knot is hanging out. And sew back and forth over this piece of elastic, not through the knot, next to the knot, 3 or 4 times to hold it in. Okay, and once you've anchored that in, you're gonna turn your fabric. You lift your presser foot to turn your fabric. And then you're gonna sew about 1/3 of the way down. Make sure you leave a hole right here. This is the seam we've already sewed. So make sure you leave a hole right here because you're gonna have to turn the whole thing inside out. Okay, so now you should have this thing. It's got knots at each corner with your elastic running down inside the short seams. This should be sewn all the way across, and this should be sewn 2/3 of the way with a hole in the middle third, right? Now we're gonna turn it inside out. Yeah. So if you just grab it by the little elastics you put in, give those a tug, make sure they're not gonna pop off when somebody puts this on their face. And now you have a rectangle with 2 strappies and a hole in the middle, right? So what you're gonna do, it would be a good idea to iron this. I'm not going to iron it right now, but it would be a good idea to iron this seam right here. That's the technically proper thing to do if you want to be technical and proper. And then after you have ironed it or not, you're going to sew very close to the edge right along this seam. We're going to top stitch that so this hole will be closed. And I'm going to back stitch along each the front and end of my top stitching here. All right. And then we're going to take our little scissors and we're going to clip our threads. Okay. So now you have a rectangle with no hole in it because we sewed that shut. And the last thing to do is put the pleats in here. This is very easy. So to make a pleat, I like to pinch the fabric about 1 inch apart and then just bring my fingers together. So now we have a fold that looks like the letter Z. I hope you can see that. Oh, I never turned my light on. Hopefully you can see that. There's a fold here that looks like the letter Z. So pinch your fabric about 1 inch apart, bring your fingers together, and now it's folded. If you have pins, you're gonna pin right through here. I used clippies, so I'm gonna put a clip right here and hold that down. You're gonna come right next to it and do the same thing again. Make sure your 2 folds go in the same direction, okay? Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, making sure your pleats go the same way, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So pinch about 1 inch apart, fold it over, pin or clip, pinch about 1 inch apart, fold it over, pin or clip. So now, when you hold it out and you pull it, you should make these 2 little pockets going across from your 2 pleats. You see that? So now all we have to do is sew along this edge to hold our pleats in place. So, I'm gonna get that out of the way. You do not want to sew through a pin or a clip because it will break it and it will mess your machine up. So just get your first pin out of the way, hold it with your fingers. And we're gonna stitch over it and then back stitch. All right, and then keep stitching down to your next pleat. Stitch over it. Sorry, my baby's brought me a semi truck to play with. You're gonna back stitch and sew through it again, okay? So now your 2 pleats are sewn in. We clip our threads. There you go, and just do that on the other side. Back stitch. And then back stitch. Okay, so we back stitched and sewed through those 2 pleats. We're clipping our threads. And that's it. You have your little pleated rectangle mask. You can hook these around your ears. Like I said, before you start making these, make sure that the people around you want them. Make sure there's a need. I'd hate for you to be stuck with these. I'd hate for them to be thrown in the garbage. But if there's a need for these in your area, get sewing. I hope you're enjoying your self-isolation, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.